I'm Gabriel Morency for Sports Interaction. A new year might be upon us, but I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The Buffalo Bills still blow. LeBron James is still a jerk. DeMarcus Cousins still wants to kill everybody. And Dwight Howard still and always wants to be traded. One thing that's not the same is the National Football League's postseason tournament. We got 6 teams participating in the postseason that weren't in the playoffs last year. Cincinnati, Houston. You say the Cincinnati Bengals, should be the Houston Oilers, but Cincinnati Bengals, Houston Texans, Cincinnati, Houston, that just freaking sounds like a wild card game, and I'm looking forward to it. These two teams played in Week 14, and the Cincinnati Bengals gift-wrapped a 2019 win in TJ Yates' first start. Now, you look at the ground attack that the Houston Texans have, and even though they're playing with a third-string quarterback who's got a bruised/separated shoulder, non-throwing shoulder, but nevertheless, they're playing with a third-string quarterback, and this dude is banged up. Andy Dalton goes back to the state of Texas, and he had so much success in with the TCU Horned Frogs. Really tough to take the Cincinnati Bengals, only getting 3 points. Although I will say this, the Cincinnati Bengals have been playing playoff-style football for the last month or so. And in fact, the entire season. They've been scratching and clawing like Bengals to get into the playoffs, and even though they lost last week against Baltimore, they actually played pretty good. They shut down Ray Rice for the most part. Rice popped off a couple of big runs, and they're going to have to watch out for that. Now, I think the Houston Texans probably win this football game, and if you don't like betting teasers, you're not going to like this week's video, because I like a lot of National Football League teasers. Now listen, the odds makers, these guys' lines are as sharp as a rusty nail, all right? And there's a reason. We have to respect the lines maker. That's why. You look at the total of this football game, and I think it will be a low-scoring game, but would you be shocked if it was 24-21? That's why I think a 7-point teaser, Cincinnati Bengals, and the under is worth a look. Or tease the under of the Bengal game with the over of the Saint Lion game. Now, the Detroit Lions and the New Orleans Saints also played. Now, Sue did not play in this football game, and the New Orleans Saints were winning 24-7 at the half, kind of took the pedal off the metal in the second half. You know, they will not be taking the pedal off any metal. Now, everyone talks about the Raider fans in a black hole, but the Superdome is a freaked out place to play. These guys are insane. They're like a positive Raider nation. Now, I like the Saints to get it done. Detroit's been a good story, but Detroit are very undisciplined. Detroit's secondary is terrible. Drew Brees is going to carve them up. I think that Detroit will score some points, but when it's all said and done, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the New Orleans Saints. That's why I do believe the total is a little bit high, but I think it's going to get there late in the football game. I think we hit it with a teaser. You can tease the New Orleans Saints, or I really like a teaser with the under in the early game and the over in the nightcap. Now, we got Matty Ice. Matt Ryan needs to win this football game. Eli Manning is only 4-3 in the postseason, but the fact of the matter is, you know, one of those wins, was in the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan was the top pick in the National Football League draft, and he has to play like it in the postseason. The dude has been on fire in the last month. So is Julio Jones out of Alabama, who we'll get to in a second. Now, Julio Jones has been on fire. Tony Gonzalez is really in his zone. Roddy White drops passes, but the dude also makes plays. Michael Turner looks like to be a little bit re-energized right now. Now, the New York Giants are a good story. The New York Giants, same old story. You know what? They get in the back door here. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl once doing this, but this is a little bit different. I think the Giants are vulnerable here, and if there's going to be an upset as far as an underdog winning outright this weekend, I think it could be the Dirty Bird and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, speaking of teasers, I love the Atlanta Falcons tease to the over in this football game. I really do. You know, Eli Manning having a spectacular year. This Cruz dude, the Samba in the end zone, cool-ass stuff out of UMass. I don't know where this kid came from, but this kid is a star in the making, and he's impossible to stop. They're going to have to double-team him, which means that other dudes are going to be open. You know, Knicks could have a big game. You know, I think there's going to be points scored in this football game, and I don't know if it's global warming. I don't really buy everything that Al Gore says, but I do know that the weather is screwed up, and I do know that it feels like it's a mid-October afternoon, more so than a mid-January afternoon, and I don't think the Atlanta Falcons will be fazed by the weather. I think there's going to be points scored in this football game. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Tim Tebow and God. Well, he's going to need God. I think he's going to need Allah, Buddha, Hindu, and every other power hour in between to get them over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we've said this before as far as Tim Tebow is concerned, but the Denver Broncos have serious matchup issues with the Steelers. Interesting situation here. You know, the Steelers under Coach Tomlin, they're actually 7-0 to the over. And I know everybody loves the under in this football game. I wouldn't be surprised if we get backdoored. Once again, I think we got a classic teaser situation here with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the under. Steelers play down to the level of competition that they play. See last week's game against the Cleveland Browns. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 21-3 Pittsburgh Steeler win. Maybe, 27-10 and it squeaks over the number. But with that teaser, I think we cash the ticket. Now, I mentioned Alabama earlier. We got a rematch. Another rematch, excuse me. Seems to be the theme of the week with the rematches. Now, we got Alabama and LSU. It's funny. A lot of voters are saying if Alabama only wins by like 1 point or something like that, LSU could still win the national championship. Now, I don't like that type of talk because I like the LSU Tigers to win this football game. Now, full disclosure, I was on Alabama when LSU beat them in Tuscaloosa, the football game that had no touchdowns. Now, if Alabama had a field goal kicker, they would have won the football game. Now, you give Les Miles all this time to prepare. I think Les Miles has more athletes than Alabama does. Alabama's got that great ground game. Yes, they do. But the fact of the matter is LSU can beat you in more ways than Alabama can, and I think they can shut down that ground attack. How are you going to beat LSU through the air? You can't. I think the difference maker is going to be a special teams, maybe a pick six by the LSU Tigers. Now, this game's not in Baton Rouge, but it might as well be. Now, I know there's going to be a ton of Roll Tide fans in the stadium, but it doesn't matter. It's still in Louisiana, still a second home to the LSU Tigers. Short price here. All they got to do is basically win the football game. Now, there will be some points scored in this football game. It's not going to be 9-6 like the last time, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game creeps over the number as well. Both these coaches with all this time, they're going to come up with a few trick plays. Both these defenses are going to give both offenses some good field position. So I'm not running to the window or my mouse to click on the under in this football game, but I will be on the LSU Tigers. Hey, it's good to be back. As always, may the winners be yours. I hope you have a successful and profitable 2012. I'm Gabriel Morency for Sports Interaction. May the winners be yours.